Preachers aren't good with microphones. My mother was born in 1920. And one of the things that she told me as a little girl was that the most painful experience in her life was that her best friend was married to a World War II soldier. With 3 children, he went off to war and was killed. She was forced to place her 3 children in an orphanage while she went to school to become a nurse. My mother thought that was the most horrible thing that could absolutely happen to a person, to have their family broken in so many ways. As a result, when I went to high school, she expected me to do what? Take typing, accounting, business office machines. Do you remember fluid duplicators? Yeah? Because I could be what? A secretary. Yes. Now, that was the story of a person born in 1920. And obviously those stories shape our expectations of who we are and what we can do. There's a wonderful book out called The Power of Story by Jim Lohr. And in it, he describes the story that's going on in our heads all the time without us even being aware of it. What's interesting about that story is he says that 80% of it is negative. It's what says in the back of your mind, you can't, you aren't able, you won't measure up, or maybe it just won't work out for you. That's the kind of story that children hear and shape their lives when they're very young. In fact, the Women's Foundation just put out some statistics that said that children by the age of the 5th grade have already decided what they're good at and what they're not. Do you understand that by the 3rd grade, if you cannot read, you're not going to graduate high school? If you get into 1st grade or kindergarten without having had any preschool education, it is not likely that you'll make it through the 10th grade. These stats are enormously powerful stories. Our community stories are even larger. Only 4 out of 10 of our youth are getting the sexual education that would allow them to practice safety in their young adult lives. 4 in 10. 1 in 5, if they're a single father, will live in poverty. It doubles if your mother is single herself. These stories that circulate are incredibly powerful determinators of what a person thinks they're capable of as young people. And that's what you're about. You're about changing future stories. I understand Teresa Dowd just did homeless housing so she could love these people. It was all about preparing a future for them and making sure that their story had a different approach. Peter Lohr in his book goes on to say that our stories, to be successful and rewritten, have to have purpose. They have to have truth that rings with who we are, and then action. That's why you're here, to provide these children with that kind of transformational opportunity. You're doing it today, and you've set the stage for the rest of their lives. Please do not underestimate for a moment the power of your commitment, the resources that have come to the table and the power of those gifts, and the belief that you have in them to transform their lives. Loving is a powerful thing. And it's our opportunity tonight to celebrate it in these children and to never underestimate what they're going to be. Thanks be to God.